And before I forget, I actually wanted to say a very good morning to Kofi Boachi in Kumasi. He's a policeman that I'm proud of. As you know by now, that people who feel they are too powerful and cannot be dealt with, he's dealing with them. Maxwell Kofi Juma was arrested yesterday for alleged assault. And he was heard reportedly to have said that if he met the gentleman, he will beat him again. And Kofi Boachi sent his men after him. They put him behind for a while. And that's good. We all need to have the laws working. Now, get back...
Indiscriminately.
Let's get back to these two issues. The national health...
Upper East Deputy Regional...
Great. They are supposed to have taken it to court, right? Let's get to know what the update is.
He said he saw a donkey on a motorbike. You must be drunk to see a donkey.
The National Health Insurance Authority... Sorry, Gabby, let's move on.
Anyway, move on.
The National Health Insurance Authority, like I read to you a while ago, there's been an audit, and the Auditor General's report of 2012 reveals some very damning stuff that happened between 2008 and 2009. Monies that are alleged to have been transferred to certain accounts, there are no evidences, they cannot be traced in the bank statements. Withdrawals that were made, as much as 900,000 Ghana cedis, are purportedly withdrawn and put in an investment account. There is no trace of those monies, and some very, differences between whatever is going on. And you also know that National Service Scheme officers have been arrested. And again, the boss here, together with others, have been interdicted because of a scam that has led to a loss of 7.9 million Ghana cedis to the state. I'm sure some of you are aware of colleagues that you completed your university or elsewhere with. They never did their national service, and no company also rejected their employment, applications on the basis of not doing national service. George, it's bizarre.
Well, let me just say that I can speak to the National Service Scheme scam. I am unable to speak to the Auditor General's 2012 reports, because as Deputy Ranking Member of the Public Accounts Committee, we haven't looked at the reports. We haven't been to a retreat with the Auditor General. Things I may say here may prejudice when we come to hear the reports in public.
You are speaking to the BNI's operations.
Yes. So I was that's what I'm saying. I'm unable,
have been put in the public domain.
I'm saying that I'm unable to speak to the Auditor General's, the National Health Insurance one.
Okay.
I'm able to speak to the BNI one.
Correct. Go ahead. Go ahead.
When this news broke, and I have followed it, and I have made linkages, and it's not funny, and nobody can sit anywhere and say if indeed these things are what they have been reported to be. It's mind-boggling. First and foremost, I heard about some revelation on Joy FM about some dealings within the National Service Scheme system. Then you remember that at the beginning of this year's postings, you will find that people were posted to mortuaries where none existed. And then you find that it was circulated that people have been posted to Ebola response centers when they have not been set up. So when this news came out, I'm beginning to put two and two together, and I'm beginning to see that possibly these are all part of the...
Mortuaries are supposed to have ghosts anyway.
Well, so that you may say that if indeed what we are hearing is true, then you will find out that possibly these are all part of the jigsaw that we need to put together. But first of all, again, it is the way we do these things that make these things continue the way they continue. There are several of these kind of reports that once the media highlights it for a week and we all shout, and then we leave it at that. Because maybe next week some more exciting news comes out and we jettison this. And that is why I think that people continue to do these things. And therefore I don't even want us to limit it to the national service. But you know what I do? I have thought about this and I've sat over it, I've slept over it. if the 7.9 million Ghana cedis is a month, then we are talking over 90.
That's for only July.
Yes. So we are talking, if it's for a month, then we possibly are talking over 90 something million Ghana cedis a year. And if, for God knows, I mean, this could have been something that has been perpetuated over many years.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot just sit here and say possibly it's happened only a year or two.
But some say leaders like you, MPs, should not be talking because maybe you are part of those who encourage the system. And I explain to you how. That you may have a relative or a friend who didn't do his national service, needs to get a job, and they are issued a national service certificate, even though they didn't do it. And then they take that money and put it in their pocket.
Well, I can speak for myself. And so far as from where I sit, I cannot say that I've been party to any of such things. And I can speak for myself. And I hope that as honorable members, my colleagues can all stand up and say, or politicians, people in political office should be able to stand up and say that we have not been part of any of this process. At worst, what I know honorable members may do is to intervene for change of postings. That one we all do it. But as to making people people go for service certificate when they haven't done them, I cannot confirm that. But I will not deny that maybe, just so maybe, some people are doing that. But coming back to the,
when you intervene for change of postings, how fair is that supposed to be?
It may be
someone is being posted. Someone is being posted to a rural community.
Let me give you.
And you get the person removed. Who should go to that community?
Let me give you an example. I can speak for myself. I tried to get somebody's posting changed because she was a nursing mother, twins, breastfeeding. She didn't have anybody to support her, so she thought that if she stayed and taught in her community instead of going to teach in another school, it will aid her and the children. I tried to, I don't even know if it went through.
That's a fair situation, though.
Yeah. So those are some of the circumstances for which, because when the people are making the postings, they don't know the faces. There's no face to it, and you don't have the peculiarities of this situation. So I think that when there is genuine reason to do that. But let's come back to this issue. The issue is that I put all this blame on our Ghana Revenue Authority.
How?
I'll tell you why. In the UK, in other places, people driving cars, certain class of cars, people working in certain environments, buying certain kind of properties, and things like that would raise eyebrows. In this country, you know that this person is a middle-level officer. At worst, his salary is maybe 1,500, and he's driving a Range Rover. He has 4 houses.
He has no extra business.
He has no extra business. And yet, we all look on.
We hail them.
We hail them. You see somebody who has started work 4 years down the line. He's living a certain lifestyle. Nobody looks at it. I mean, several of these things. In other places, the system would have suddenly identified. I mean, you have people who have some quantum of money passing through their account. You know, nothing is said about it.
It's not exactly nothing, because if you check at the right authorities, they have been freezing people's accounts.
No, but that is with the FIC and those ones. But those ones are when the system is so outrageous. But I'm talking about the fact that something, you know, when everybody knows that your salary passes through your account, and yes, so everybody knows what you earn, and then suddenly, every month, some 80,000 passes through your account, and nobody knows the source. I think that at a certain point in time, we must query. And even property ownership, we don't have database. No, we don't have database.
There are laws for banks when they see suspicious.
You know,
yes, they are supposed to report to the IFC.
Of course,
me sitting my somewhere should go and query.
No. What I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. That you see, but even for tax purposes in other parts of the world, people would want to say, "Are you paying tax for the property you've acquired? Have you paid tax?" I mean, all this is have this card that all these things.
The system.
Gabi, that's what I'm saying. That the
and you are the system.
No, we are not the system.
You are the government.
No, Gabi. And then it means that all the things that are happening because somebody. There's always been a government. But I'm saying that we must all begin to question the system we are running, and see how best, you know, we go into tightening the noose on some of these things. I am excited at least that this one has been uncovered. I hope that we go to the roots of what is happening,
right.
and we get really get people punished if indeed what they are alleged. Let me also say that at least we've seen some action beginning from the board. And yesterday I listened to a very interesting argument. Now the one leg of the argument is that should the board be absolved from the happenings? That is the question we need to answer. Because if you are a supervising board and this kind of thing goes on under your watch, should you not also be held culpable?
And who takes that action?
Yeah, wait a minute. Some people have also raised issues with finance, the Ministry of Finance. Why didn't it? But you see, it's the way we operate. When you raised the strategy some time ago, and I think I was speaking to Joy, and I said, look, when you have a committee of parliament who looks after a budget, and another committee supervises the agency in terms of operations, how there's a disconnect. So it's very difficult for one to be able to look at the figures right away, and it rings a bell. Okay. So we may all look at our systems and see whether our system units themselves are not aiding some of these things, and we look at it. But I am happy that the BNI has uncovered this. I am happy that we are hearing. Maybe this may be the first time that I'm hearing really that people have gone to places and they've been given some huge sums of money as bribe, and yet, you know, it still come out.
He says we should be looking at the systems and tightening them. I'm asking how long we have been doing this tightening, and yet all of these things are happening.
Yeah, good question. And that is where my problem is. We as a people and as a nation, and how we've been seeking over the years to cure this particular mischief. It's a phenomenon that has been going on for years. And I tried to do some little research. It's not comprehensive. So these are just isolated cases. And I realized that if you go to the Daily Graphic, Friday, July 24th, 1987, headline, 10,000 ghost workers detected on payrolls. And this is a story filed by C.S. Boabing from Sunyani. He says a total of 10,000 ghost workers had been eliminated from the civil service payroll following the introduction of payment of salaries through the banks. Mr. D.S. Boating, Undersecretary for Mobilization and Productivity, who disclosed this as Sunyani during a meeting with cooperative societies on Wednesday, said the head count before the exercise began, a total of 317,000 workforce was recorded. However, since the introduction of the payment of salaries through the banks, where employees are expected to submit their photographs and either thumbprint or sign for their salaries, the number dropped to 307,000. This is 87. Now, fast forward to January 17th, 2002. This is in Parliament. The issue was, Parliament was seized with the issue. I'm reading from the Parliamentary Hansard, January 17, 2002, a statement that was made by PC Apiofori. And I would start, he says, Mr. Speaker, my statement is on what should be done to eliminate ghost names from government payrolls. Mr. Speaker, sometime in December last year, that is 2001, the Honorable Minister for Finance was reported in the media as having said that the government of Ghana loses about 300 billion cedis, that's old cedis, annually through payroll frauds. That is ghost names inserted on payrolls for government employees. He called for concerted efforts to bring this to an end. Consequent upon this, ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, have put some measures in motion aimed at eliminating the ghost names. The same Hansard, I'll just do 3 quotes. The late Salia, Edward Salia, he says, I would like us to bear in mind that the issue of ghost names in salary administrations has been a long-standing one. Indeed, contrary to what a lot of people might be saying, at the beginning of the revolution, he was talking of it too, steps were taken to try and address this particular problem with Operation Hawk. Temporarily, there were some successes. One also needs to mention the late Mr. Isaac Tuma as an accountant general who tried to solve this problem. Again, for some time, he also had a bit of success in doing this. Number 3, this is SP Adamu, NDC, Bibiani. He says, we have been talking about ghost names over the years. And one article which appeared in Daily Graphic, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, that means 14 January 2002, said that the ghost names were not inserted by ghosts. They were inserted by human beings, by the living. Mr. Speaker, just early this week, we read that about 10,000 names had been flushed out of the Ghana Education Service. So if we have flushed out or identified 10,000 names, who are the heads of the department of these people or the heads of the institutions of those ghost names that have been identified? And what action are we taking to deter others from doing the same thing? This is what is not being done. We just identify the name, delete it, and that is all. Okay? And then he said something very interesting, which is reflected in the present day one. I suspect that there's some very serious collaboration between the Controller and Accountant General's department, the various heads of departments, either at the regional level or the district level or the institutional level, and at times even the district audit service, because these things cannot happen on their own. The last one, please. I'm sorry. It's Mr. Yiti Mensah. He says, I remember in 1986-87, when I was in charge of Accra, we carried out the exercise and we eliminated 3,500 ghost names. And after that, we had a permanent task force which vetted all payrolls before payments were effected. You cannot just do it once and leave it. As the honorable member just put it, the payrolls are available. They are made available through the departments before they get to the banks. The other issue is that is very important is that there's always collusion between the staff of the Controller and Accountant General's department and the Auditor General's department. This time you can add the banks. That is why you need your own task force. If you are serious at the various levels of the 110 district assemblies, a task force which will be monitored by the district chief executive. He went on and on and on. What does this show? That in the last 20 or so years, we've been dealing with this phenomenon of payroll fraud. Of course, we've come up with all sorts of things. I recall from 2001 to 2009, the Auditor General then went through all sorts of payroll audits. Each time, he discovered some thousands of names that were deleted. Even recently, I'm told some help of the assistant with technology and all that have been brought to bear. But you see, the human element remains. Because even a computer, I think we can put in garbage and take out garbage. And still, this process is happening. With regards to the specific instance, so it shows that this NSS thing is tip of the iceberg. It's part of a historical phenomenon that has been going on. Now, I am not too sure what time frame the BNI investigation has targeted, because from the little I'm hearing, it appears it's an entrenched subculture, and that has been going on for many years now. We are now talking of exposure that tells us of July last year, is it? Right. I bet you, I think there is the need for the BNI to go further than recent years.
This is actually July 2014.
2014, they ought to go a bit further, because beyond, I've heard from some sources that this has been going on the last 10, 12 years. The kind of the quantum of money we've lost as a nation. Perhaps if we had it, we would not be talking of IMF support services in certain areas. This is huge. The banks, the district audit offices, all of them are part of this. I would also encourage the BNI to look beyond just the payroll. Because you see, if you take the Auditor General's report, 2012, on the same organization that we are discussing, you go to, there's a place where they talk about farm projects. I'm talking about the National Service.
Right.
It's amazing. they invested over nearly 600,000 Ghana cedis into 7 farm projects. They made the proceeds out of it is about 82,000 Ghana cedis. There's an expenditure of about 511,000 Ghana cedis. There are no records available for the Auditor General to determine how those monies were expended, who works on the farm, and how much they are paid. So, with this particular institution, we are not talking of only the payroll fraud, but we are looking at the bigger picture. Apparently, it's a huge drainage.
Gabi, well, Kuku, someone just sent a text and said they expected that you will be crying on this subject as you speak about it and the manner in which you have gone to trace the history. Well, Kuku points out from the Hansard that he reads, this is a collusive enterprise, no doubt about it. Again, what is missing is that no actions are taken against the people who are leading them. It's not like in the US where Julia Pearson, you see, will just be questioning a few times about a few lapses at the White House, and she'll get up the next morning and say, I have resigned. People don't resign. You sack them. It doesn't happen.
Well, she was actually sacked and gave it a lead.
Politely.
Absolutely. Let me take it from a hint Kweku gave, which is that if I were TUC, for instance, on this threat of wage freeze and rationalization and the rest of it, I said, look, this is just one tiny institution.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've discovered 100 million Ghana cedis a year just going to ghost names, okay? And so you, the president, you, the government, if you focus on ghost names, we can maybe get somewhere. And you know what is worrying? And you also mentioned it. And let me take it from the graphic editorial of yesterday. Mr. President, crack the whip. This is the graphic. And it starts about the canker of corruption that has engulfed our country has become malignant now, as those involved in the act appear incorrigible. And what was actually interesting is the ending. Let me get to it. The irony of all this is that at a time some selfish individuals are dissipating state resources, the government faces challenges with statutory payments such as GET Fund, this is Assembly's Common Fund, School Feeding Program, the Capitation Grant, and the National Health Insurance Levy. Every year, the Auditor General comes out with frustrating tales of the misappropriation and misuse of public funds. Yet, nothing happens beyond the public show by the PAC, Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. And you know, because what Kweku has shown, okay, is that, look, the system is there. You know, the system is there. And you know, when Obama came and said institutions, build institutions, people, you need people to build institutions. Now, if you have this sort of collaboration from the top all the way to the district level, how do you stop it? There's only one way you can stop it. It's to bring fear. You know, look, no, that's what it is. I mean, the impunity, because you know you can get away. I mean, the impunity of actually bribing or seeking to bribe a BNI official.
But Gabi, don't forget, revolutionary justice, so to say, did not even kill it. Explain the fear well.
Explain the fear. It's about fear. You know?
Deterrence? Or
no, something. The fear is deterrence. Because if you are afraid that you can get caught, and government has shown the way, because that's what happens in
I only wanted you to explain it well.
Yeah, I was coming there. Right. Civilized countries, what do? We have a problem, okay? They will go and bring the criminal code and say, we are increasing the jail term for this particular offense to show that we mean well. So if it's 5 years, they may increase it to 10 years. Okay? That's the signal you're sending out there. And then you make people examples. These people, I haven't even seen their faces. What I would want to see is them in handcuffs, splash across the front page. It's a start.
Yeah, some of them have been arrested.
They've been there. But have you seen their pictures? I haven't. Have you?
Well, an investigation too is not.
No, but I'm just saying. But just saying. You know, and the thing is, so long as the system is there, but people know that they can get away with it. You know, who's been arrested? Every year we hear all these things. Nothing has been done.
You don't have to explain to me.
No,
I just want it done. Please,
listen,
don't
listen,
give me any explanation. Just keep quiet and let me talk.
You see,
please.
You have a systemic failure. That's why I was talking about the system.
Listen. It's about leadership.
Because where police have even arrested people.
Brother, it's about leadership.
No.
If look, we say that look, we are going to deal. We're seeing this as a national issue in terms of ghost names. Because, look, we are sitting here talking about rationalization. Workers are going to suffer because we want to what? Freeze their salary. At the end of the people not doing anything are creating jobs in morgues for ghosts.
But the workers who are suffering, forget that their suffering is being perpetuated by these same workers, colleague workers.
But no,
their own colleagues. Their own colleagues.
Look, that is
why there must be collaboration in resolving this thing. The TUC, everybody must get involved because all these people are members of the TUC.
My point is, I wear my seatbelt in England every time. Why? Because I get stopped. They will pay. I have to pay money.
Right.
£80 immediately. £100.
The law is almost the same here in this country.
We don't but maybe here I can get away with it.
Correct.
No. You know, I don't overspeed because I know the camera will arrest me. So bottom line, let us enforce.
That is what we are all saying.
It's not what we
should be a collaborative enterprise.
No, but I'm saying it's leadership.
It's a collaborative enterprise.
If you make examples of certain people, you make examples, and we know that their systems. Was it Akufo who spoke about the Anas principle?
Yeah.
That you even create fear, and these are I'm talking about legitimate fear.
Good explanation.
Legitimate fear that people know that look, even the person you are dealing with could be a BNI or whatever. You know, so there are ways that the fear me. I don't believe in revolutionary, but I believe in enforcing the law.
Right.
Give stiffer punishment. We are not doing anything, and we go and sit down and say we are fighting corruption.
Okay.
It didn't start today.
Many people are sending in messages and they are saying that they are very embarrassed. They are very embarrassed hearing and reading about some of these stuff as they from wherever they are, some in Holland, is it in London, and they say they are reading about these things and they are very embarrassed. But you may have had that experience where you get out of the university or polytechnic together with your friends. And you know that whilst we are in the university, a lot of people get the opportunity to travel 1, 2, 3. And when we leave school, they'll rather want to go back to the UK, to the US, and elsewhere. They go, they don't do the service, and yet monies are being deducted in their names as they are doing their service. They come back to the country, they apply for jobs. They are not blocked because they have not done their national service. So, apart from talking about it as a collusive enterprise, we are all to blame.
I think, Samson, it's interesting to hear what Kweku had to say and what Gabi has been saying and even what George has been saying. All of that, in my mind, demonstrates that this is historic. And to me, it demonstrates the 30-year failure of the rule we've had in this country, both under whichever these two parties have been ruled in the last 30 years, whether PNDC, NDC, NPP. And it's interesting that government and opposition sometimes are wailing with all of us to say something must be done. But you have 8 years and you sit on radio and TV and tell us something must be done. Who should be doing that something? Isn't it you? The leadership that we require. Why have we not had that leadership in the last 30 years? I mean, look at some of the names. Look at some of the people mentioned. The Director of Finance, Deputy Director of Operations, Director of IT, Director of Policy Planning. All of these big people who are there, who appointed them?
The revelations have been made. They have been interdicted.
And the board
what do you want?
And the board
you don't want due process?
No. What I'm saying is, let's look at the Auditor General's report. How many years does it tell us that 1.5 billion worth of financial irregularity or revenue irregularity or whatever? And what has happened? Nobody goes to jail. People are just sometimes even dismissed, sometimes not dismissed. So who is responsible for this goings on? Who is responsible when MPs or government functionaries come and sit on radio and TV with us, the rest of us, and then wail with us that, yes, something is very wrong in this country. Something is very, very bad. We must do this. But you have the power to do exactly that. What have you been doing when you've been sitting there for the last 30 years and then telling the nation something must be done? They vote you into power. They vote you into government to change their lives, to put the systems in place, to amend, to enforce rules that we have. You don't do it, then you tell us something must be done.
I asked you a direct question about this particular, the way you are looking at it.
I don't blame.
No,
I don't blame.
The question I'm asking is this: these revelations have been made now through concerted efforts, which we must admit.
My worry is that
now those who are said to be connected have been interdicted. The BNI says it is continuing with the investigations, and those who are involved will face the law.
The proof of the pudding is going to be, frankly, in the eating, and we're all going to wait and see what's going to happen if this country is turning over a new leaf, if we are finally going to get the fear that Gabi is talking about, or if we're finally going to put an end to the historical situation that Kweku has read to us, and we're finally going to get confidence in our public sector, confidence in public institutions, because at the moment, frankly, everybody out there knows that it's all about the gravy. They are not sharing in that gravy, but every time they are expected to share in the pain. And that's why some of us and our own party will side with Labour every single time. Because you want Labour to share the pain, but Labour does not enjoy in that gravy. You, the institutions, and the leadership, I think in the situation of the NSS,
Judge is pointing out to you that it is Labour that is involved here.
Even the board should go. You should go. It's not the whole. You cannot criminalize the whole of the Labour movement.
Right.
Those people
You cannot
That's right.
criminalize that's why I say it's the members of Labour.
I don't blame any single Ghanaian citizen for the situation we're in. I blame government. Because you keep hearing that, well, we have cholera because people don't keep the environment clean. You think that the ordinary person in the UK necessarily has a penchant to keep his environment clean. It is the systems that prevent him. Somebody will know where their seatbelt is.
In the UK, people will blow their whistle.
Somebody
Here we have a Whistleblowers Act. People are not blowing it.
It is up to government to put the systems in place. Look, when I lived in the UK, there was a situation on the railway bridge where people used to dump their rubbish, jump there. So they did the same thing anybody would do here. The local authority put CCTV cameras there. That's all. That's all the problem. So it's about systems.
Right.
It's about managing those systems.
Briefly, this one from Al-Hassan, he says, "Where are those who were arrested? If they were petty thieves, the police would have lined them up and invited journalists to take pictures. Are we sure they have really been arrested? Okay. We want to know the police station that is holding them." I think that's a legitimate question. And this one too, he says, "George, where are you coming from? Have you not seen the $100,000 luxury cars that are parked in front of Parliament? Where on earth do they get the money to pay for them?" Okay, so you should be questioning yourself. In respect of the National Service, this is a statement they released. They said that this is the statement that was released by the governing board, that the governing board of the Ghana National Service scheme has directed the executive director of the scheme, Alhaji Al-Hassan Imoro, and his two deputies, Mr. Michael Kumbo, in charge of finance and administration, and Madam Sophia Karin Kwako, in charge of operations. The following headquarters staff have also been directed to step aside. They are Mr. Fifi Esubonting, the Director of IT, Mr. Al-Hassan Idrisu, the Director of PPME, Miss Gloria Aku Mensah, the Acting Internal Auditor. Furthermore, the Greater Accra Region Director, Mr. Seth Esiedu, and all other officers of the scheme, whose names have so far been cited in the ongoing investigations, are to step aside. The above decisions were taken at an emergency board meeting held yesterday, Friday, the 3rd of October, 2014. Meanwhile, the governing board, headed by its chairman, has temporarily taken over management of the scheme until further notice. These actions by the board are informed by its strong desire and determination to pave the way for the ongoing investigations into the operations of the scheme and to ensure that all persons who may be found culpable are appropriately sanctioned according to law.
I wanted to finish with just one point.
Yes, do that.
I think that government some time ago had put a lot of money into biometric registration of the public sector. Now, Ghanaians are asking continuously, what happened to this biometric registration? They did not, was it not supposed to tackle these issues, or we just registered some people and left a whole pocket of the, or is it that ghosts cannot register, so they remain ghosts? But it's a serious issue.
Ghosts have biometric fingerprints.
Kweku, what's the point you want to make, and what do you say to those who are saying, perhaps the board should not be given the right to be taking these decisions because they may also have to take part of the blame?
Well, but it's still within the confines of their mandates, what they have done. It is within their mandate.
So they are becoming the police. Who is the police over the board?
No, wait, we step by step. What they have done is within the context of their mandate. So that's not, there's no illegality.
Let's hear the point you wanted to make.
Then two, a bird whispered into my ears that the chief of staff was the one who gave a direction to this effect. I had problems with that because apparently it didn't come with any formal communication. And I thought that people should take responsibility for what they instruct others to do.
You mean the chief of staff gave the direction for the interdictions?
The chief of staff apparently told a deputy minister of state, or it is a deputy minister of state who communicated to the board that get this thing done. Okay? The chief of staff apparently was the one who told that deputy minister of state, but there was no formal communication. I had a little problem with that in terms of best practices, in terms of governance.
But there are those who are speculating that it's the chief of staff who actually spearheaded these investigations, getting the BNI to get at them.
The same chief of staff appointed one of the deputies, the lady, who through on the basis of the president's instruction, that lady, as we speak, had not submitted her CV or things for appointment to be facilitated and consolidated.
Interesting.
Bad deal there, a lot of bad deals there.
And why is it the chief of staff?
She was a parliamentary candidate for the NDC, but that's not the issue. You see, you made a point, a very interesting point about the whistleblowing thing. When this issue went to Parliament, there was this member of Parliament, Zumakpe, is NDC. Yes, I may have pronounced it wrongly. He said, Mr. Speaker, it is time we had a social responsibility in this country. It is time we put in place this whistleblowers bill that we are talking about, so that one does not necessarily need to come out physically to report somebody before action is taken. If a system like that is put in place, then it will go a long way to curbing this menace. And therefore, I would like to support the call for the whistleblowers bill to be placed before Parliament. It will enable us to arrest this canker once and for all.
Which year was he speaking?
This 2002.
Okay, then 2006 we got the bill.
But hold on, yes, yet I'm not sure it has helped us kept the menace. Of course, maybe I don't have specifics.
People are not accessing it.
Yes, so that's part of it. That's the point I'm trying to make. Then another one, the technology. This is Steve Akoli, NDC. He says, Mr. Speaker, the issue of ghost names had been one of the highlights of the Public Accounts Committee of this House when we presented our report recently. And one aspect that we have noted that needs to be addressed as early as possible is the issue of computer manipulation and input by the computer clerks that we have. Mr. Speaker, a few years back, when the IPPD, I'm not sure what it is, was being introduced, we all thought that that was going to end the issue of ghost names, but only to learn when we were looking at the Auditor General's report on a particular department that when the IPPD software system was being introduced, it was not test run. Mr. Speaker, as a result of this refusal to test run the software before introducing it and making it a permanent feature of our salary administration, it has left a lot of loopholes that the accounting clerks and those who call themselves accountants are exploiting. So you see again the benefit of technology, even when it is brought to bear on the system, is undermined by the human element.
Interesting.
But now,
that's why the enforcement...
One very important thing, in addition to what Kweku, you see, now we have the e-payment system, where every district director has to okay the list of employees and that before their salaries are paid.
So this were not done by e-payment system.
So that's why I'm saying that possibly that may be some of the reasons why eyebrows.
There's someone also suggesting, and Gabi was focusing a lot on, using the law and prosecuting and making sure that people are deterred. Someone is suggesting, why don't we empower the Auditor General? So after the Auditor General finds out some of these rots, it just goes ahead to prosecute. so that it doesn't
No,
go
prosecute.
to.
You mean
it doesn't
advise for prosecution,
so that it doesn't go. It doesn't have to go to Public Accounts Committee, which is also supposed to have had the.
We have instances.
The popular.
No, there are classic examples. Look, and this is not to go political. The Kunedu case, the DIC, the divestiture case, was based on a special audit by the Auditor General, after which it was handed over to the CID.
Right. Okay.
You know, but that's what I wanted to point to. The problem is not the identification. That we should forget about that. Look, I sit on the Public Accounts Committee. There are issues that we have. There are people that we have presented a report to Parliament on and said that Kweku Baku must be prosecuted. The report is out there. The police have picked it up. 5 years down the line, the prosecution is still ongoing.
What have you done? As
wait a minute. But you see, wait. Something. You know the constitutional arrangement. The Attorney General has a mandate to prosecute. In actual fact, one of the things we are even looking forward to doing is that as part of our what we call post-hearing procedure, we are going to invite the IGP to come and answer some of these questions to the public, because I can't understand it that there are times when it is clear.
You have the minister.
No,
You call
no,
You have the
Attorney General.
You will invite all of them to tell us, because in Uganda,
Elsewhere, the MPs, the Parliament, the Parliament plays a very critical role.
Yes, it is the way our
In our Parliament, you do what it is you have to do, and then you go to sleep.
You misunderstand. In Uganda, when they pack 6,
What is the IGP
wait
going
a
to do
minute.
with
In
it?
Uganda, when they pack 6, and they find out that this thing has come, you are not able to give an explanation. In Uganda, there's a police contingent sitting outside. All the chairman of the pack has to do is that, well, we need this to be further investigated. You hand you over to the police. The process starts. So you find out that.
So why is it not the same?
But I'm saying that the people who crafted our laws and are standing
over here. No, but you know that the Public Accounts Committee, there's supposed to be a certain elevation of it to a certain standard to have a judge to do the Chief Justice is supposed to start a financial tribunal. Financial tribunal,
which hasn't been done.
Okay, and we have discussed this year on, and nothing is happening. Very interesting. We're taking a break at this point. But Dr. Lloyd Amwa says that, Mr. Jojo, what are you saying when it comes to dealing with the NSS problem? We should collaborate. When it is about power and pecs, that one, no collaboration. Incredulous. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. Now, briefly, we just have 3 minutes or so to go. The NHIS matter, we're unable to touch on it. Kweku, briefly.
The time frame, you said it's 2008 to 2009. And the audit report has just come out.
Yes, 2012.
I'm just seeking to find out the status of the auditees, the management personnel that were interviewed or interrogated. Okay, because the present management may be able to help if there are official records, institutional memory, all those things. But there could still be some deficit, some gap. So I'm wondering, those who were in charge then.
2008, Ras Boateng's time, and a part of 2009, they were still there until Sylvester Mensah came.
I don't have the records, but if they were not interrogated or interviewed as part of the auditees, that would be a missing link. We need to get some information to that effect, but otherwise it's bad news. It's still very sordid news. Same characteristic of the same thing we are discussing here.
Very terrible. Unfortunately, we are unable to continue from here. Gentlemen, I'm sorry about that. We're also to go to the Presidential Commission that is looking into the World Cup, and there have been interesting stuff that have come up in the course of this week as well. And today, maybe someone was going to cry. Today, no, we are not discussing, so nobody's going to get to cry. We got to know that the money is not only shared between GFA officials, but also some people in the ministry. Yes, some people in the ministry get part of the money. Non-players are also getting appearance fees. And Kwesi Nyantakyi boldly accused the commissioners in their face that they were not dealing with him fairly. That's the second time that thing happened. Someone was being asked to swear the oath twice. Something that people like Asa Nkrumah have spoken about as a very needless exercise that was prompted at the commission. My guests for today's show have been Abdul Malik.
I told one of the commissioners, my own friend Moses was also a bit overreactive. I think it was an overkill in his anger.
He got a bit emotional there.
Sure.
Well, now my guests have been Abdul Malik Kweku Bako Jr., who is editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. He's a regular panelist. Also, Ni Ama Akonfra is the director of communications for the CPP. Gabi Asari Ochoda, who is CEO of Global Dynamics Limited, international business consultant and a politician. He says he's retired until he's done that press conference and announced to the whole world, I will not take that. George Law is a private legal practitioner and a member of Parliament for North Dai. Earlier, you heard me speak with Dr. Victor Bampo, the Deputy Health Minister. And maybe I left something out. I would want them to check how come the PPEs, some are buying it for only $3, but the Ghana Health Service was recommending a company that is selling it for as much as 20-something or $120-something. That's quite terrible.
It's part of the yen change.
All right, my name is Samson Ladia, and the show is repeated at 9:30 on this platform. Have a good afternoon.